Okay, so we'll try this again. 1911 Magazines Part 2. Not sure where I left off on the last. Hopefully I can remember where I left off. Again, hopefully the rain's not going to affect the audio here because it is raining. It's the reason it's a little dark in here. If I try to turn on the lamp lighting, it just kind of makes our camera picture go in and out. So we'll try this and hopefully the video is going to be good enough. Okay, believe when it shut off the last time, we were talking about, I said the reason if I bought any more 1911 magazines, again, I'm not a 45 aficionado. I just don't particularly like the round. Yes, 40 is better. Anybody wants to get into semantics on it, we can do that. But ballistically speaking, you know, the numbers on the paper don't lie. The performance on targets don't lie. So I'll be more than happy to get into a 40 versus 45, but everybody on YouTube's already done one of those. Anyway, story for another day. So, back to the Metgars and why I liked them. It's just been an exceptionally reliable magazine. I've had 0 issues out of it. Again, this is a stainless steel magazine. It just has the anti-stick coating on it. So this is just a coated stainless. Again, this is one that's been run around in the truck, console, one of the few field trips laying in the ashtray. Just held up exceptionally well. I assumed the coating was going to be not quite as good to hold up, and as you can see, this is from my magazine catch, which in the last one I told you I'd show you a trick about that. If you have a magazine catch, it's an extremely hard, stiff spring magazine catch. And I'll get to that in just a minute. So I guess I'll put this back together. Also trying not to hit the handle sticking out on the tripod here. But very easy disassembly, reassembly. Again, the transition spring, just make sure you got your spring pointed in the right direction. No winding, no sticking through, simply slide it up. Put my little plastic thingy over it. Find my rails. And she's back together. So, where we're talking about the magazine follower profile and such, we're going to start out with trying to jam a 1911 here. So this is my factory Sig, which is loaded with square-shouldered lead bullets. Now, if anything's going to jam, these are going to jam. There are several reasons to that, but we'll get into that in another video also. However, let's see what we have here. Looks like all I've got is lead. Well, I guess I should have ran out, and I did put my magazine pouch in the truck when I left yesterday. So all my ballistic tip bullets, round-nosed, full metal jacket type, all that stuff is out there. So I guess we're just going to do this experiment with lead bullets, since they are the easiest to jam, and I don't want to restart the video again. So to start up, and this is the light target spring that's in here. One thing I have found with the heavier spring, it does aid in chambering around. Again, the square-shouldered lead, it has a tendency to catch. It will also, if they're seated out too far, that square shoulder will contact the end of your chamber. That's just one of the natures of the bullet. However, if it chambers these, it'll chamber anything. So if you ever want to check the reliability of any of your pistols, get some lead semi-wad cutter bullets. If it'll feed a lead semi-wad cutter, it will feed anything. So, again, I've got a camera handle sticking out over here, so I'm trying to do this both at the same time. But just to show the stiffness of my spring here. And also, I still have not cleaned the gun. I've hardly ever shot the thing. However, every time we go to the range, the 10-year-old, the 12-year-old, that's all they want to shoot's 1911. The 6-year-old only wants to shoot my 44. But all the girls, they shoot the 1911. It's just the most popular gun at the range, so most all the rounds have ever been put through this gun, other people have put them through. Also, this is being the target model, it does have the barrel to bushing lockup. Again, the first time I ever pulled the trigger on this, I was shooting these very bullets. Didn't even size the bullet. At 25 yards, 8 rounds, all went in the inch square. Second magazine, we actually measured 8 rounds off the tailgate. Wasn't even off a bench, off a rest. At 25 yards, 8 rounds went in barely over a 3/4 inch group. Pretty good. So, again, that gets into the barrel crown. We'll get into that later. Alright, so we'll start off with the factory Sig Magazine, which, if you remember from the last, has a full-length follower. Now, you know what? I'm going to say I only have 7 in here. I'm trying to keep my mags together because I have 3 different loads here. But, which doesn't matter as far as shooting. It's just I try to keep them on the same mag if I'm going to try to print a decent group. Alright, now this is full loaded 8 round. Yes, my finger's off the trigger. Yes, I'm following safety. A lot of your magazines, again, especially the Wilsons, you have a hard time loading 8 rounds in. This one simply, and she's loaded with 8 rounds on the slide down. So let's see if we can jam it. And with this spring, it is possible. This is where we were talking about the follower styles. Now I'm going to gently ride my slide home. Now what happened is she's not all in the battery, and if you saw, that round popped out of the magazine before it got under the extractor. Little tap on the back, she's in business. So I'll just rack it out over here. Well, I'm not hitting the camera, I spoke too soon. Again, this was with the gun turned sideways, so that does make a difference. But if you notice, see how she's popping out of the mag? And again, this is riding it home. These are also some of them goofy, the cheap Federals with the California compliant primers, which is running a small pistol primer. And they don't have the bestest rims in the world. They have a flat rim, whereas most of your, let's see if I can find one here. Your 1911 is going to have the large primer pocket and a little better pronounced rim. So that's also another thing. Okay. Let's try same bullets. Now these are the same 2 I just ejected. That way we can hopefully keep the same comparison. And back to the, which people have asked me about, if you have a very heavy, and this has got a really stiff, I mean, you got to push on this mag release to get it to trip, which is a good thing in a heavy situation. You don't accidentally get your thumb on it and drop your mag. You have to intentionally. But for those of you that get magazine drag loading, and I'm not talking about speed loading in competition or speed loading in combat situation or whatever, it's just if you have a heavy mag drag, simply push your button and slide off. That's if you're worried about scarring your mags. Okay, so Same bullet, different mag. This is the one with the 2/3 follower. And again, I'm holding this at an angle and point it up. Ease it home. Voila. Ease it home. Voila. So, and I know there's going to be people commenting, but you don't ride the slide home. You slingshot it, trip it. The purpose of riding the slide home is to see how it's going to feed, how it's going to function. A lot of guns out there, many of them, you can jam them pretty easy by riding the slide home. Once you get the gun tuned in to where it needs to be, if you can just ease that forward, in other words, we're actually trying to jam it. If you can simply ease that forward, and it doesn't jam, you're set. Okay, same rounds in the Wilson. Again, I'm only loading 2 here, so drop the slide, drop my mag, excuse me. Okay. Now those fed slick. And that one we had a jam because the follower tilted up. Now that's not a, it popped out of the mag and it was simply having to have enough momentum to get the extractor over, because again, this has an extremely stout extractor spring to ride over that rim. But this actually jammed out the magazine because of the follower. Again, no offense to the folks at Wilson, but that is just not a good design. Now I can push it home and she'll go on in. Okay, let's get back to the metal forms. Okay, these are original rounds I had in her, so again, I don't remember what these are. I didn't label them. They get all mixed up. These might be 5 grains of unique. They might be 3 grains tight group. They might be, which again doesn't matter when I'm just blinking. But if I'm going for accuracy, it's not that, you know, I've got to keep this particular load, that particular load for accuracy. It's just, I don't want to go with first shot being a 950 feet per second bullet, second shot being a 600 feet per second bullet. You know, it's going to change your point of aim, point of impact. So anyway, 8 rounds fully loaded. And this does have a pretty good spring on it. So we'll try the now this one, you actually have to push to get it to seat when you've got 8 rounds in it. And that's just because the follower tension, there's not enough room. Again, these Wilsons, most of them, if you have them loaded 8 up, there's just not enough room. The follower itself bottoms out before you can get that mag seated. So this is full load 8 rounds. Let's see what she does. Ease it home. Again, I'm actually trying to jam it. And oops, she nose down on me. Okay. Again, no mag's perfect. Okay, and here's the reason being. This is one of the pro grades, and I don't know if you can see it in the camera here, but I'm missing a small portion of the case rim. So not sure if that would be a mag or ammo issue. load that one back in. And we'll try this again. Again, that's another thing about the follower supports. But ease at home. And that was a little stiff, but she went in. Oh crap, I was supposed to keep them separate. Oh well, I'll just have to shoot them all at once, I guess. And see how it started to dip, but then when it took hold. Now, again, we tried to jump. Now this is the actual lead portion of the bullet, catching on the hood. Teeniest bit of pressure, she goes forward. So again, I know this is kind of a moot point and everything, because this isn't going to be real life shooting situations. But again, this is not for practical purposes. This is just to test one mag to the next to the next. Again, once with the Wilsons, I have had a few of those because this is a plastic follower. And this is where you get your mag catch. If this gets a little nick or ding in it, as you can see how it's wide open exposed, whether when you go to seat, of course I have the flared mag well, which I put on extra, but without the flared mag well, standard flat base, when you go to seat the mag, it is, if you get it just a little sideways, you can actually nick this on your mag well itself. If you nick that, that is what's going to trip your slide stop. As we can maybe see just a little bit in this one. Again, sorry for the camera and the bad lighting. And that will keep your slide from locking open on the last shot. Now this one's not bad enough that it'll do that. Springs are still heavy enough. Another thing is a weak magazine spring, not enough upward tension. But again, you can see a magazine follower should not do this. And I'm not putting like loads of pressure. I'm barely touching it. So it's not like I'm trying to force it up. But I just want to show this is, to me, that's just not good. So, sorry to the folks at Wilson's. It's just, I'm not a fan of these magazines. Especially not for $32, $34, $37 a piece. Yeah, factory Sig Magazine, full loaded. Put her in. Ease her forward. You see how she rode up, picked up. I was trying to keep it from slamming forward, but it started to catch, but then it just went on its own. Again, this is with a light recoil spring. So, and see how she stands up. Now that's hitting the hood. But again, this is sharp-shouldered, square-shouldered lead bullets. Alright. So enough of that. You can see just a general easy way to test a mag. This will also tell you if you've got a problem with your feeder amp. You can look as you're chambering, especially if you're not turning it on its side to try to get a camera picture of it. If you're actually holding it straight up and looking down into the chamber as you ease it forward. Again, do this with dummy rounds, or do it where you're not going to have a problem in case something happens. Yes, I'm doing it with live ammo. Yes, I have a clear path in case something happens. Worst case scenario, I'll pull an Elvis and get my TV. But even then, I should be far enough right from the TV. So anyhow, before my thing craps out here, again, back to the debate on magazine follower styles. I'll just go ahead and unload that. Might as well unload that. Back to follower styles. And everybody always says, you know, this style follows. When you stack rounds in here, I'm going to put rounds in. With the exception of your last round, when you put a round in there, other than the anti-tilt factor, does the profile of your follower really matter? Because the round is not going across the follower. It's going across the round on top. It's going across the round on top. It's going across the round on top. So feel free to leave a comment down below. Tell me how a different style magazine follower will affect the first 6 out of 7 of a 7-round mag, or the first 7 of 8 out of an 8-round magazine. And explain to me, since rounds are stacked on top of each other, how that follower shape matters. Again, anti-tilt follower does matter. That keeps it from nosediving. But again, shout out to the guys at Metal Farm. They've been real good. Customer service is kind of a pain to get a hold of, but once you do get a hold of them, they're immediate on follow-up if you have a problem. I understand they're a small company now. This has been 3 years, possibly 4, since I bought these. Yes, it's been 4 years now. Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's 4 years. So I hear they're a growing company and have more people in the office. But again, as far as product quality, we've torture tested these, and it's not just my 1911 they've been ran through. Just the one. So this has not only been ran through my gun, this and its twin. Basically, I took 2 out of the pack, like that's carry. I'll put the others away, keep them for later. Anyhow, these 2 have been ran in 1911 Gold Cup national matches, Springfields, a couple of Rugers, lots and lots of Colts, both Series 70 and Series 80s. And I can't tell you how many rounds have been fired through these things. So, it's just an excellent magazine. Again, my factory Sig magazines that came with my Sig, excellent magazine. Wilson's, not even just me. I'm talking about guys on the range and guys that religiously run 45s. I understand that, you know, a magazine is wear parts, springs are wear parts, followers are wear parts. That's why they sell rebuild kits for the magazines. You can order a 3-pack of followers. You can order your springs. I haven't had to do that with any of my other magazines. So, springs, check your spring tension. Again, a really, really good way to check your spring tension if it doesn't shut off before I get here. So, to check your spring tension, don't put 8 rounds in it. Put 1 single round. That's going to be when the spring is at its apex, and that's going to have the least tension on it. Put 1 single round in. If it chambers, your spring's good. If you start getting jams, one thing you might want to look at is changing that magazine spring. Again, as long as your body's in good shape, no bent feed lips, no dents in your magazine. If you got a good body, springs are always cheaper than buying a new mag. So, but now this isn't just 1911s, this is any mag. If you can put a single round in that magazine and whether slow ride or slingshot, if you start getting jams on however you do it, if you can slingshot it every time, well, maybe you're okay. That gets into the finer points of tuning the gun to feeding, another video. But if you can slow ride it home and it works, if you can slingshot it, it works, then that mag spring has got enough tension on it to get that last round up and out of the magazine. So, hopefully that helps a little. Anything I forgot to cover, leave me a comment. Again, Patreon account, we've got content on there that we're not allowed to put on here. Also, none of my videos are monetized. We're starting to get into shooting season. Finally, the rain has quit. I will be making lots and lots and lots of range videos. Ammo's going through the roof. Reloading stuff they're killing us on. I'm up to $9 a box on 9mm right now. 44 mags are costing me $12 a box now. So, you know, it's getting expensive. Anyway, buying the equipment, things that people want us to test and that kind of stuff. Again, I will finish up on several of the night scope videos we have. Actually, we're getting the videos off the night scope itself instead of just sitting here doing a quick review like we have been. Next session, we're actually going to do a upload of several videos from the scope itself. So that should be a pretty good take. Hope y'all get to see that. But again, I'll put the Patreon link down there. If you like our content, you want to share, that's fine. As far as the giveaways, we are still doing the giveaway. Next week's giveaway is either 50 rounds of 9mm custom ammo or 20 rounds of 223 tracer. So the drawing for the giveaways are one-time donations through our PayPal account or anyone that's a Patreon member. Now, the Patreon, it doesn't have to be, you know, the $5 a month tier, the $10 a month tier. We're not going there. If you do $1 a month on the Patreon, then you're in the drawing. If you do $2 donation to the PayPal, you're in the drawing. So, again, it's just because we're trying to raise money for the women's shooting classes. Also, I've been footing the bill for the women's shooting classes for several years now, and when I'm having to pony up 500 to 1,000 rounds a week, plus all expenses, you know, it gets a little taxing. So, we don't want to take away money from that to make videos, buying equipment, buying gear, buying supplies, buying, you know. So anyway, that's the reason we're doing the drawings. And again, this week, all our drawings are done Friday, lunchtime, noonish. Be noonish my time, Middle Tennessee time. That's when all the drawings take place. Anyone in that week gets put in the drawing automatically. Any members, any donations. So again, I'll quit rambling on about that. And again, if there's anything I didn't cover in this, feel free to leave a comment and tell me what I should have covered. If I just did a crappy job, feel free to leave me a comment and say, you just did a crappy job. Okay, y'all have a blessed day and hope to hear from you.